most of us are aware that our brows are uneven. So we try to put a little bit of makeup to try to even that out. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So I'm going to show you a model where she did try to even out her eyebrows. And she did a pretty good job, but I did tighten it up a tiny bit and showed her how she can go a little bit more on one side than the other to make it more even. So I'm going to show you real quickly how I did that for her. And then we're going to start all over again and then show her how she can start by making them even more even. So if that is you, you want to stick around and check out how I'm going to help her and you how to even out the eyebrows just a little bit. Hey everybody, it's Jasmine, your brow expert. I hope that I have become your brow expert, and if I'm not already, you need to check out this video and some previous ones where I not only talk about better eyebrows, but I show you models that I've had as a client at the Anastasia Beverly Hills salon, which is where I still shape brows. I have been shaping eyebrows for close to 30 years now, and it's always a pleasure seeing that before and after, especially for the client, of course. So definitely come by if you're in the neighborhood and get your best brow. So like I said, I've been shaping eyebrows for a long time, and I almost always see uneven eyebrows. I mean, it's not just you. And this client is no exception. I showed her how to better make her brows a little bit more even by what she already did. I have an old brow tattoo, and so I put a little bit of concealer on. So you're going to see me trying to even my eyebrows out, along with trying to show you at the same time how beautifully her brows turned out. So without further ado, let's check out the model. Okay, so beautiful eyebrows. You can see how she did try to fill them in. And I told her that she was already on the right track by going a little lower than on the one that's naturally higher. So you can see a little bit of shadow underneath that pocket. What she didn't do is go a little higher above the area that she needed to go higher on, but not by much. It's just gonna be a small adjustment. And I'm gonna point out a few things a little later as to why it's uneven, as to why a lot of our brows are uneven. It's not just a brow hair. Okay, so I went over with, I told her, go ahead and do what you always do. Go ahead and do what you do. And then just go a tiny bit darker or lower. Right here, I went a little darker because you can still see that shadow, but it wasn't dark enough. Above the brow line, this is what she didn't do. Where I suggest her to do is to go a tiny bit above the brow line. Now with the highlighter, I just kind of go around, and which is something that she didn't do. I told her, you know, do what you do. Do what you do, and then just go around the highlighter with the highlighter stick, because what it does is it just makes you look like a professional, cleans it up, and that way you don't have to put more on or start all over again. So again, pointing out the one that is naturally higher, we went a little bit lower, which she already did. I just made it a tiny bit darker because she saw that, oh, wait a minute, yeah, you're right, it's much lighter, and so you want that color to blend in with the brow, of course. And then the other side where she didn't go higher, and when I told her to go higher, she was like, what do you mean go higher? Like, how high? So she liked that I showed her that you just need to go a touch higher. So let's start all over again. This is what her brows naturally look like. And I went ahead and shaped and waxed. Now, not so much shaped, more than just waxing around the eyebrows. I told her that if you get it properly waxed, like from me, the brows will look a little bit thicker because you take off some of the fuzz around the brow line. So that's really important to get in the habit of. And she understood that when I showed her. Anyway, so the primer, I use this on other videos. A lot of times we forget this little primer stick wax. When you apply it over your brow hair, I'm not going to put it on mine because I have a little bit of concealer covering that old brow tattoo. And go over it with a spoolie brush. Once you apply this product and you go over with the spoolie brush just spreads the product out. This is a wax and there's no color to it, but it's going to help make the powder stick really well, and it helps the powder to go on a little bit more even. So that's very important. If you have her brow color and skin tone, medium brown is the best color for a lot of us. I could actually get away with medium brown as well. It's more universal. I'm using the ash brown. Actually, I'm using the ebony. So I can actually wear 3 or 4 different colors. You can too if you apply it with heavier or lighter pressure. It's all about the pressure too. So I'm using the darker side of the powder. Medium brown has that, all the colors have a light and a dark side. I'm using the darker side, and notice that I'm starting with this eyebrow where it's naturally lower, but you always want to put a little bit of color all around the eyebrow just to get that background color. So this is what I'm doing with the brush. Now, obviously, it's a lot easier for me to access because I'm behind her. So this is why I also want you to see me holding the brush. So right here, it's naturally lower, right? So I'm going up higher. So I first applied right-handed, but I'm doing my left eyebrow. I first applied a little bit of color over the hair that she already has. Notice right here, you could try to hold it like this if it's easier for you. I like it this way because then your brush is right where it's supposed to go. And because of the angle of the brush, it kind of does the work for you. And then above, this is the important area. Notice that it's dragging. The brush is dragging and I'm going a hair above, no pun intended, a hair above the brow line. Because you don't want to over exaggerate it, even though it needs to go higher. So I went just higher and I'm just dragging the brush and going just a smidgen higher. Mine's gonna look a little bit, I don't know, it might look good because mine is, again, tattooed with that concealer. The color's gonna look a little off. So I just naturally go a tiny bit higher. And whatever's left on the brush, that's when I go a little bit more forward. So that way the front doesn't get too dark. You don't want the front to be that dark. So again, we're going to go to the other side now. So this side is naturally higher, right? So we're purposefully going a little bit lower, which she's already used to doing that because she did that with herself. So, and this time it's going to be a little bit darker. And notice I'm right-handed now, so right-handed, but I'm using my right side, which still the brush is in an angle right over here. And then I'm just going a tiny bit darker and lower. Just a smidgen lower. Okay, and again, whatever's left on the brush, that's when I go up the front of the eyebrow. So again, the front doesn't get too dark. Very, very important. So I just apply it. I do go a little lower, but I don't go like that much lower because you could always go a little bit more lower if you wanted to. And of course, you still want to put a little bit of color up here because you want that balance of color. Right? So, and you know, for me, I don't like my ends to be too long because it can drag the brow down. And even on her, I do keep the ends a little bit on the shorter side. She liked that as well, and she agreed. So, and again, very important, the highlighter, because you know, powders will get a little messy. So if you just go underneath the brows with that brush 18, you get such a nice, clean, tight look. Look at this. Speaking of looking, look at this before and after. So nice, right? And so much more even. Again, I'm just going to go a little bit here and a little bit there. Notice that I'm just laying the highlighter this way, this way. Same with the brush 18. Sometimes I'll go sideways with the brush, laying down sideways with the brush, and then laying down, excuse me. Okay, so very, very important to, again, bring out that you want to go higher on the one that's the side that's lower and vice versa. Okay, so part of the reason why one side is a little bit higher is that you might find that your skin right here lays low. Hers, the lower side that drags down, her area right here goes inwards a tiny bit and her bone comes out, and you can see that the line in the middle is a little bit deeper. That's partly why it's a little bit more uneven. That's partly why a lot of our brows lay a little different because of how the skin and where it starts receding. So it's not all you. So are your brows a little bit more even now? I hope that this tip helped. Please let me know if it did. I will always try to touch on uneven eyebrows. Sometimes our hair grows uneven. One side's this way, the other side lays this way. So I'll always try to show you guys how to best combat that. But, you know, I often tell my clients, accept the fact that it's a little bit uneven. The more you try to make it even, the more the face starts looking a little weird. So it's just a little bit going a tiny bit higher and a little bit going a tiny bit lower. And that's the most important thing I want you to remember. All the products, including my makeup, my lipstick, everything will be listed in the descriptions. Don't worry about that because you might be thinking, I want to know what her lipstick is. Or you know, What's her blush? Thank you for supporting me. Thank you, YouTube, because it's such a great way for me to reach all of you around the world. So thank you for allowing me to do that. And yeah, I will see you guys next week.